So just want to make a quick word on the issue of male feminists. I've made a few videos on the subject of feminism generally. Actually, I'm just watching, believe it or not, a hedgehog right now. That's why I'm looking to the side. Can you see him? It's my little sister's pet hedgehog, so I'm just babysitting him while she's away. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about male feminists. I'm sure he would be a much cuter subject, but there you go. Anyway, from the outside I want to say I respect anyone's right to hold an opinion on pretty much any subject. I believe that freedom of expression and freedom of conscience is absolutely paramount. So in no way is this a video attacking male feminists for who they are and for their right to have an opinion. Rather, it's about how they go about it. Just to be clear, I have absolutely no issue with men out there who recognise that there are women's issues and speak out on them. Especially in parts of the world where there is a very serious problem with women being abused and with serious violations of human rights in general, but also specifically of women's rights. In fact, I have a lot of respect for those guys. I believe they're brave. I believe they're decent people. Just to quote one example, Malala Yousafzai's father. He would probably be an example of a male feminist in that sort of situation. He staunchly supports his daughter. In my opinion, he's a brave man, because he is facing a backlash from the Taliban for doing that. So there are men in parts of the world where there are serious human rights violations against women who speak out. And by the way, just about Pakistan, I've know some people in Pakistan have resented the idea that it's only women's issues raised there. There are also human rights in general that are a problem in Pakistan. But anyway, not to focus too much on one country. So I really have no problem at all with guys who believe in human rights and who speak out for women's rights. No problem whatsoever. And for the record, I do myself. I've frequently spoken out on issues of women's rights. I've done it a few times in my videos. I've done it plenty of times in cyberspace. When I see men abusing women, I really have contempt for those guys. And that extends into my philosophy on human rights in general. However, what I want to talk about in this video is Western male feminists, by which I mean men who are utterly subservient to this movement. Utterly subservient. And I'm going to give you an example of one such individual. It's another YouTuber that I've just come across. He's responding to a video where actually a guy was quoting a woman who was quoting extreme feminists. The woman he was quoting was, she was basically just quoting the extremism within feminism, the famous Valerie Solanas, Andrea Dworkin quotes have been done a few times. All he was doing was quoting her, and all she was doing was quoting the extremists. Both of these people take issue with feminism. Now, what this prat has come out with, Jimmy Russell, this video is dangerously misogynistic and needs to be removed, and the uploaded banned immediately. And then he goes on to say, someone asked why should it be banned, where is the misogyny in the video? He says it criticises feminism. It is obviously a hate speech against women, which is against the rules of YouTube. And at first I thought the guy was trying to be funny, trying to be a smart arse, but he was sincere. He is a male feminist who actually believes that if you criticise feminism, you are anti-women. And just to be clear, the video he was responding to was absolutely in no way misogynistic. It was simply a video quoting another video that was quoting extreme feminists. So this is the problem we're dealing with. Male feminists, Western male feminists, in my opinion, are in many cases, not universally, I'm always reluctant to generalise any group of people, but many of them are very smug, very patronising to their fellow men, and actually are basically just subservient to this movement. And if that guy really believes that if you criticise a movement, and let's be honest, this is a movement, then you hate women, is utterly absurd. How would he explain women against feminism? What, do they hate themselves? Now, I'm not someone who say that who says that male feminists hate themselves, but I do suspect there is something going on there when they are so critical of their own gender and so subservient to the feminist movement, which in many ways can be called a female supremacist movement. I do definitely have question marks about these guys. I don't take issue with them raising legitimate concerns about sexism, but what I do take issue with is they are utterly blinded to issues that impact men. And like I said, this is not the universal picture. I'm not saying every male feminist is like this, but it is quite a widespread trend. They're also, like many feminists, very intolerant of other opinions. They try to shout down other men. You know, they will claim that they're the ones being victimized. Oh, we can't be ourselves. You want us to be manly men. No, it's not about that. It's about respecting the fact that not everyone is going to grovel to the movement that you subscribe to. And what I detest most, actually, probably this is the thing I detest most about contemporary Western feminism, is that it forces and coerces people to accept it. And if you don't, then you're demonized as a horrible misogynist. Now, to be fair, feminists will counter that they are demonized as man-haters. And I've tried to make the point in most of my videos about this, that I don't actually believe that every feminist is a man-hater. I don't believe that. I believe many individual feminists are reasonable enough people. As a movement, I believe it is entirely subject to scrutiny, or should be. So, I don't have a problem with guys identifying themselves as feminists. What I do have a problem with is those guys telling other men that we are against equality if we do not equally and slavishly subscribe to that movement. In other words, if I say I'm not a feminist, then those sort of guys will say, oh, you're against equality, you're against women. I won't use colourful language, but I could tell them to go where the sun doesn't shine, because I know what my values are. I know I respect women, and I know I believe in women's rights. I also believe in men's rights, and I believe in human rights. And if these hypocrites really believe in equality, then instead of grovelling to a movement that basically uses them as pawns, then they would recognise that there is issues that impact men and women. So I really don't have a problem with them speaking out on women's issues. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not an MRA, I'm not a hardcore men's rights activist either. I've said in another video I think they're equally divisive, the hardcore element of the MRA movement. Again, I stand by the right of male feminists to call themselves that, but when you get Nick Clegg and Ed Miliband coming out with patronising statements about other men who are not I mean, Clegg was going on about how his wife said true men have cojones. She's a Spanish woman, so I don't know if that's a bit of the Latin temperament coming through, but he actually quoted her saying that real men who respect women have cojones. What he was basically saying is, unless you call yourself a feminist, you're not a real man. And that's shameful for a political leader and the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom to come out with something like that. Now, no doubt male feminists will retort, well, other guys say we're not men and stuff like that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with sort of belittling someone because of their views. So I don't agree with people saying that male feminists aren't real men and that sort of thing. If that is their honest conviction, if that's what they believe, I respect their view. What I don't respect is them trying to coerce me to have the same view, or belittling me, or telling me that I'm a misogynist. Also, what I take issue with is the idea they seem to think that feminism is above criticism. And that's a general trend within feminism. It is incredibly obnoxious in the sense feminists genuinely believe their movement is above all scrutiny. Now that surely only indicates just how narrow it is. That's a bit like saying it's forbidden to criticise socialism, or it's forbidden to criticise libertarianism, or it's forbidden to criticise conservatism. Any of those other movements, if we said that, then it would be seen as totalitarian. So why is it feminism is the one movement that seems to think it's above criticism? That's utterly absurd. Feminists themselves will say, oh, but feminism is lots of different movements. So if you accept that it's lots of different movements, and lots of different groups of people, then you would accept that some feminism should be criticised. And that's a problem I have with so many feminists. They really aren't open-minded, because they equate feminism to womanhood. In other words, if you criticise third wave feminism, then you're anti-women, which is utterly absurd. I mean, it's almost funny, because I know how much I like women. I like being around women, and I do believe in women's rights. I also get really irked off with modern day feminism. So the idea that you have to call yourself a feminist to believe in equality is obnoxious in the extreme. So to male feminists out there, listen, I respect your view. If you're standing by your principles, I can't fault you for that. But don't try to coerce other men into it. And do not tell other men they're misogynists. If they're genuinely being misogynistic, okay. But prats like this guy, what was his name again? I don't even care anymore. Prats like Jimmy Russell, who actually think that being critical of feminism is the same as misogyny, I've no tolerance for that. None at all. So I'll leave it there. If you're a male feminist, I respect your view, and I would ask you to respect my view.